It's a great good afternoon. Welcome to Galaxy Radio and Radio Flora, right here with DJ Nyams on a beautiful Sunday. We do this each and every Sunday where we look at different topics happening at different parts of the world. And remember, this segment is called The Vault. So what happens in The Vault? We deep down and we will try and figure out what is hidden in the vault, what is in the vault. And today, in the vault with me, I'm joined in by Paddy Onyango from the Civil Society Organization, and is based in Kenya. Paddy, it's a great good afternoon. Welcome to Galaxy Radio and Radio Flora.
Thank you very much for having me today on this forum.
Okay.
Radio.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's start from here. We want to first understand, Paddy, what does your organization do?
The organization I convene and I belong to is called Kenya National Interface Team, NIT. Kenya National Interface Team is a national think tank which also handles various things that happen internally. And the reason we are an interface team is that we are a multidisciplinary group from different professions, law, gender, engineering, economy, and things like that. So our role is to think through things, generate agenda and influence policy at the national level. And where there is a problem, we do interface. In other words, we do mediation as well. So that is the organization I work for and what we do at that level.
Yes. Okay, great. Paddy, so now let's get into the hot topic that is currently happening. Kenya is in a serious crisis as we speak. Take us through. First, let's look at, for Kenya to be where it is with this whole GNZ, give us a bit of background where it all started so that a listener who does not know what's really happening can understand. How did it all start for you to be where you are today?
Yes, I don't want to go into details, but we can anchor this discussion. But the fact that in 2010, Kenya adopted a very progressive constitution, which guarantees freedom of movement, generally civic liberties, including the right to protest, demonstrate, picket, and present petitions. That is there. Now, that constitution has got principles that guarantee access to dignified livelihood for all Kenyans. And that means that whatever policies that are being generated by the government in power must submit and comply with those principles. This includes generation of policies, legislation, and things like that. And therefore, as part of the annual budgetary process, the government, the national government, because we have two levels, we have county and we have national. County level and national, but the national government is the one that generates national budget and expenditure estimates for a period starting 1st July to 30th June of the following year. Now, this time, the government, under the urging of the International Monetary Fund, did a budget which, among other things, increased imposed taxes, therefore increased the prices of essential commodities like bread and things that are ordinarily used. For example, increase in edible oil, taxation on edible oil, increase in the price of bread, increase, and then there was also the tax on wheels, which includes wheels or tires of wheelbarrows and tires of wheelchairs for persons with disabilities. So that was there. And then most importantly, basically there's also the tax on vehicles, private vehicles. So if you have a personal vehicle, you will be required to pay a minimum of from 5,000 shillings per year up to 100,000. But this particular bill, now when it was tabled in Parliament, it removed the 100,000 cap and they opened it, and it could go up to 500,000 per year. Now, this is your car which you have bought. You are not doing any business with it. You are using it to move around.
Yeah,
government was not there when you are buying it. And in addition to that, when you are importing it into Kenya, you pay duty as appropriate. In this case, 80% duty of the value of the car. So now you have to again pay annually a rate. It's like land rate to the government.
Okay.
And what that, yes.
So now, Paddy.
Yeah. So what?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Just finish off.
Yeah. I was saying that that is at that level. Then there are others relating to education. Most of the budgets in education, health.
Okay. So Paddy.
Were cut or reduced.
Okay.
And then difficult funding arrangement. Yes.
So Paddy. So now we've got a kind of a background. No. So now we've got a bit of background of exactly what was happening, right? And then we understand there is a youth called GNZ who then decided to protest against what? This budget. What's your comment on that?
You see, all in all, the general, the overall summary of this finance bill, or which has finance bill, is that it is going to affect those things that touch on the youth most. Like, for example, content creation.
Yeah.
There will be taxation on that. And then, of course, education. Then there is unemployment. And then the budget increased the allocation to the office of the president. It increased allocation to the office of the deputy president. It made allocations and increased the allocation to the office of the wife of the president. It made an increase to the office of the wife of the deputy president. Then it made an increase to the office of the first daughter of the president. It also made allocations an increase in allocation to one of the prime cabinet secretaries. So this sent the youth on a wrong wrong priorities. Youth wanted something that will help build them in terms of employment generation.
So the protests in Kenya, how long have they been going on for? Is it a week or 5 days? How long has this protest been going for?
I can say this protest started last year, right? In terms of the policies around implementation of the IMF, World Bank imposed conditionalities. But that over that time, voices were raised. People went to the street, but it was what they call
okay, we seem to be losing Paddy there. Paddy, are you back with us?
The boomers, mostly the old generation and the millennials who went out there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see. There is a problem with the network where I am.
Yeah, no. You're back on. Let's continue.
Okay, so that is what happened. But during those days, the youth most likely did not take part because it was led by a political elite. So they sat back and watch this.
Let's
But the
focus.
latest,
Let's focus on the latest one, because that's where most women want to is. So the latest one, the
now the
youth
latest
have
one,
been leading
the
it.
latest
Yes.
one has been going on for the last 3 weeks, in the sense that when the bill was published, public participation was invited, and the youth made their proposals to Parliament during these public participation processes. But when the report was published, all those views from the youth were ignored, were not captured at all. And this sent the youth to start now rejecting the bill, and this came to a head in last week.
Okay. So now, Paddy, this is where we stand right now. Here in civil society, a lot of youths have lost their lives. There are a lot of figures that are going on. I remember when President Ruto gave a speech saying he will not send the budget, he said there were 6 people. But some other sources were saying there were 30 people. Some other people actually said there were 50 people. Then we also understand a day after President Ruto's speech, there were actually almost about 51 people again who were shot again. So do you know the number of people, of the youth, that have lost their lives during this protest?
Currently, the estimation is that it's standing at 60 throughout the country. This is for the whole country. But statistics is still coming in. That number may increase. But what I want to say is that during the Tuesday parliamentary occupation of Parliament, 22 people were killed outside Parliament that same day, on Tuesday. And then additional others were killed on Thursday. That is what brought it to the figure that you are mentioning.
Now let's look at the issue of abductions, because we also understand a lot of people also have been abducted. You understand? Those ones who've been abducted, have they been returned, found safely in good health? What has been the situation in terms of abductions?
The abductions are still continuing, even as we speak. The civil society, led by the Law Society of Kenya, has put in place a mechanism together with other civil society organizations like Amnesty International, Defenders Coalition. We have in place a tracing mechanism to locate those who have been abducted. But as we speak, our concern right now is the abduction of female Gen Zs. And the reason is that we have not been able to locate most of them, and we fear that they are being held against their will as sex slaves, could be subjected to rape or mass or gang rape by the police officers, which normally is used in conflict situation as a weapon of repression. We have raised this with various organizations, both locally and nationally, and we are still working on that. But the abductions are going on, even as we speak. We have been able to locate others who have been released, but not all of them.
Okay, so let's talk about those ones who've been released. If the ones who've been released, are they in good health? Are they okay? And what are they saying? If you've got any idea of what they're saying, where they were, how they're being handled, and who had abducted them.
Yeah. It is. We know Kenya has a special secret police called Operation Support Unit, similar to what you have that in Sudan. The support units of Dagalo. So this unit normally does not operate openly. They operate in civilian uniform. They have all the license to kill, to enter property and abduct people without court orders or without warrant of arrest. Now, this is the unit that is doing the abductions. In terms of those who have been abducted and been located and released, of course, most of them, all of them actually, have indicated that they have been subjected to torture, physical harm, including psychological. Some of just 2 examples. You are arrested in Nairobi, then you are dumped somewhere 80 kilometers from Nairobi in a tea plantation where you do not know, you cannot tell where you are. The good thing with this is that all Kenyans are in this together. And whenever they find these strange people, they quickly call a hotline which we have created with the Law Society of Kenya, and then we are able to organize for the picking up of these people. But yes, they have been subjected to torture, cruel, degrading treatment.
Okay.
Some have been maimed, actually. Some have been maimed. Yes.
So you're still listening to Galaxy Radio Florida, broadcasting live, proud and clear from the heart and soul of Germany with DJ Nyams right on a beautiful Sunday is the vote. And today I'm talking to Paddy Kanyongo from civil society and is based in Kenya. And we're looking at the current activities happening in Kenya because we want to get a better understanding. So Paddy, regarding persons with disabilities and this protest and their safety, do you have any reports on the safety of persons with disabilities?
Yes, at 2 levels. One is when the parliament was, it raises the issue, the whole question of the mechanisms that are in place to take care of persons with disability in conflict and humanitarian situations, which of course the Kenyan government currently has no clear policy on that. Although we do have a disaster preparedness and management framework, but within it, how to deal with the persons with disability is not quite clear. The disability movement in Kenya is working on that and will be making some recommendations. But in terms of what happened on Tuesday and Thursday and ongoing, at 2 levels, I said, we have persons with disability who are members of parliament, and the Kenyan parliament has 2 chambers, the Senate, the National Assembly. And this both chambers are in one parliament building, right? But they operate from different chambers. So we have persons with disability both in the Senate and in the National Assembly at that time. There's one Museo who is physically challenged, has a physical disability. Then we have another one, Kosgei, on a wheelchair. Then we have Crystal Asige, who is blind. So when Parliament was occupied, the protesters, the young protesters, had the presence of mind to protect these leaders with disabilities.
Yes.
So I've wheel them to safety.
So I've come across actually those videos. I've actually I've taken a listen with them, and we say well done to the protesters for also bringing persons with disabilities to safety. So Paddy, now this is where Kenya is today. How long do you think this whole thing will take? What do you think is going to be happening, with these all abductions and protests? How long do you think they're going to happen?
This thing is a trigger. The Finance Act is a trigger of long-standing underlying grievances by the people of Kenya, and more so by the young people. I don't see this coming to an end shortly, soon. It might go on in phases up to 2027 general elections. But in the short term, we are going to see the continuation of abductions, ruthless reaction to this, the trying to suppress this, what is happening, and then a response to the state action, which will actually destabilize Kenya further. People don't have faith in the so-called multi-sectoral dialogue forum, which the president has called for, because similar mechanisms have been put in place, but their recommendations have been ignored in the long run, and then the problems have continued to date. So there is going to be further repression. That is our projection. Disappearances, and in my view, killings, extrajudicial killings. We are getting into a situation where we may not be able to retrieve, to trace, and find people alive. Yeah, so that is where we are headed. Unless something is done to restrain the state and to be more responsive beyond just withdrawing the finance bill, because as they have withdrawn the finance bill, there is yet another bill which is supposed to be signed by the president. And this is more emotive because it has to do with the land. Now, this one, they are saying in this land amendment bill that if you have a private property in your village, and you have a title deed, it will be changed from freehold to leasehold. In other words, people will now be asked to pay rent, land rent, on their own land, ancestral land. And if you fail to pay rent, then the government takes that land from you. So this again has started as a merge. So it is compounding the whole situation. But we are trying to do our best to ensure that we don't cross or fall to the precipice.
Okay.
Kenya has been in there before, but we have always pulled back.
So I've been following some couple of other reports, and it seemed to suggest that even after President Ruto's saying you not send the budget, it doesn't mean anything. But it seemed like he then needs to send the bill back to Parliament, and Parliament what they can only do is they seem to only do to only adjust it. But then I understand also with the legal framework in Kenya, lawyers were trying to see how best can the bill be withdrawn in its totality. Do you have any idea on how the Constitution of Kenya addresses such a dilemma?
The president cannot enact legislation. He cannot amend a bill. He can only refer back a bill without signing it to Parliament to use the mechanism, standing orders, to work on the recommendation that he has given them. But they are not bound by that, because they require 2/3 to alter a bill on the recommendation to the president, because this bill has come from public participation. Now, the Constitution provides that where a bill is referred back to Parliament without the president making a recommendation, or if the president just kept quiet, that bill will be sealed or be deemed to have been assented to and therefore becomes law. In this situation, the Parliament has gone on recess 14 days. And that is when the president sent back the bill without assenting. Yes, So the procedure is that Parliament will have to convene when they come back after recess to follow the usual procedure of legislation.
Just before you proceed, doesn't it then put it in a dilemma? Because if the president has sent back the bill to Parliament, and then Parliament is on recess and they have to come back after 14 days, and if within 14 days, if nothing has been done on the bill, if I'm correct, doesn't the bill then automatically become law? You can correct me on that one.
Yes, that was the scheme, but there is a touch in the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in this case, the president referred it with recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
Where it has been referred with recommendation
Mm-hmm.
for repeal,
Mm-hmm.
Parliament, the 14 days rule does not quite apply.
Okay.
And that's why they are convening 15 days,
Mm-hmm.
go through the process of rationalizing the presidential referral. Yeah.
Okay.
But of course, Kenyans are right in suspecting that some games are being played and that this bill will actually become law by default. And that is what people are reading in it. But we have established that that can be cured. And one of the members of parliament has moved to court, has moved has raised a motion to have that bill repealed, not amended, repealed. That means replaced completely. So there are safeguards which the parliamentarians have put in place for that.
No, Paddy, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for giving us much more information and more description so that listeners and everybody around the world can really understand what's exactly happening. So just before I let you go, what are your final words, or what is it that you want people to know, whether in Kenya or outside the country? What are your parting shots based on this whole situation in Kenya?
Yes, my parting shot is that Generation Z have rights, campaign, protest, because the future is theirs. And our generation is messing up that future. But I want to tell everybody that the entire country is behind the youth on this one. Because whatever happens to the youth happens to them. It is unfortunate that we have lost young people, very highly professionalized people. And that is something that we are going to pursue justice for. And then my appeal to the international community, the regional, the African Union, the UN, to keep an eye on Kenya, because we are moving towards the worst repression as a result of this process. Otherwise, as the people of Kenya, we are determined to retain our sovereignty as a people and to be stable as a country.
Okay.
Our problem is the government is not interested in that. It is interested in repression. Thank you very much.
So, Paddy, just before I let you go, just give us a comment on this one. Was now we see all these protests happening in Kenya, and at the same time, the Kenyan government sent 500 police officers to Haiti.
Yeah, of course, this is now global politics, which is, we found it, we resisted that. But, there are interests, the US interests in Haiti, and they have never had, most African leaders did not want to get involved, but they found a willing player in Ruto, who was, through the influence of the American ambassador in Nairobi, Whitman, in Nairobi, it was her idea. And so Kenya has gone there. The irony is, Kenya is sending the police, there will be 1,000, to maintain law and order in Haiti, and deploying ADF to be peace observers, peacekeepers within Kenya. That is a very big contradiction that we are having at the moment. But one thing I want to tell the world is that the KDF, since their deployment, they have remained professional, and they are acting as a buffer between the murderers police and the protesters. So that is something which we are grateful for, although their deployment do not meet the constitutional threshold that is prescribed in the current constitution.
Okay.
Yes.
No, Paddy, thank you very much. We'll keep checking and checking up on the situation in Kenya, and if need be, we'll have you back and give us more information. But actually, thank you so much for coming on Galaxy Radio, Radio Flow, DJ Nyams on a beautiful Sunday. And yeah, all we can, all the what we can only do now is wish you guys all the best and hope Kenya can become a peaceful nation.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay. All right, great. Just to listen to Galaxy Radio here with DJ Nyams, and let's give you more great music on your top station.